From the Mapleview Animal Hospital studios, this is the WHTC Morning News with Gary Stevens and Peg McNichol on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
Welcome back to the WHTC Morning News for this Tuesday, April 14th. Tuesday mornings, we have a chance to chat with Congressman Fred Upton, the Republican from St. Joseph, who represents Allegan County on Capitol Hill. He calls us from the district today, and he's on the other end of our phone line. Fred, good morning. Hope all is well with you and the family.
Coffee's good. I got it down.
So did I. I got my two cups in, so we're glad you are with us this morning. And we'll start first off with a letter that Michigan's congressional delegation, at least the Republicans in the Michigan congressional delegation, has sent to Governor Whitmer, basically saying it's time for, I like this phrase, constructive relief.
Well, that's right. You know, I look around and we've mastered this idea of social distancing now. I went to the grocery store to pick up a few items yesterday. And even though I usually like shopping with my wife, I went by myself, as I should, with these restrictions. But everyone there had a mask. The clerks have shields. They have masks. Everyone was pretty far apart, whether it's on the soup line or the soup aisle or the vegetable aisle or the dairy aisle. Everyone maintained their distance. As I look on my street, as people exercise, do a little walking, folks are, again, distance apart. Our landscapers, you know, outside is probably the best place for you not to be able to contract this. Is there a big difference between a boater and a canoer? You know, there's some things that I think with a little bit of common sense we can move forward and begin to see a light at the end of the tunnel without being so restrictive and still maintain the safety that we all want, keep that virus out.
Her argument about that is the fact that when it comes to saving lives, no measure is too extreme. And she basically is saying, hey, I'm just trying to save lives in southeast Michigan. We don't know where it's going to go. And that's first and foremost. And, yeah, that's laudable. But I'm going to bring up this point again. You know, we have to worry about constitutional safeguards that need to be maintained, or, frankly, Fred, they're not worth the paper they're written on.
Well, she has the right to do it, that's for sure. We're just trying to give her some constructive thoughts, and particularly as we hear from our constituents and small businesses and different concerns that people have. Our offices are still open, not physically, but you can call and weigh in, and we've got an awful lot of calls this last week about some of these harsh. Remember, things got ratcheted down. They didn't get ratcheted up. Tighter it is the end of the week than it was at the beginning of the week. So, you know, there's some things that I think we can consider, and I shouldn't close the door to some of those thoughts.
Not only that, but just make it a cooperative effort instead of just one person saying, I'm doing what's best for the state. Get everybody involved in the conversation. Yes, it might lead to some disagreements, but it's better to work together than try to be the Lone Ranger and do everything yourself.
Absolutely.
Now, President Trump said yesterday he has the authority to reopen the economy, reopen the government, and some governors are saying, hey, wait a minute, not so fast. Again, a constitutional situation, Fred, about the fact that does the president really have the power to restart the economy, or does that lie with the governors involved?
Well, you know, you read the Constitution, there's this thing called the 10th Amendment, which empowers the states. For the last number of weeks, the president has been talking quite a bit about when asked why we don't have a countrywide shutdown, he said, well, that's really up to the governor. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to be the virus that determines this. We're going to look at the number of folks that are impacted in areas. You know, southeast Michigan, as an example, may have quite a bit different story than the UP. And I think the governors are in a good position to decide what's the best for their state. We're looking at a number of governors out in the West as well as the East. They're talking together in terms of regional balance, in terms of what's happening. Look at the deaths. Look at whether that curve is flattening out or not. Is it actually going down? What is the strain on your health systems? We're a big and diverse U.S. country, and we need to really, I think, look at the regions and allow the decisions to be made somewhat locally versus one national standard that is going to be quite a bit different in a Wyoming or an Idaho than it is in a New York City metropolitan area. So as much as the president wants to open things up, and we all do, I think you're going to have to let the virus really determine where things are at the end of the day, and we know that we're not there yet. So let's just wait and see where this thing takes us, and also look at some of the developments out there. Some exciting news with the prospects of perhaps not only in more immediate testing, but also some breakthroughs perhaps on the development of a vaccine that we're all going to want. So let's see where we are.
We're talking with Congressman Fred Upton on the WHTC Morning News. Glad you are with us this morning. Democratic and Republican leaders stalemated on small business relief negotiations, leaving an uncertain path forward as COVID-19 related measures continue to keep most Americans under stay-at-home orders. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer announced in a joint statement yesterday they're demanding more help for Americans be included in a small business loan program, warning state governments, local governments, and hospitals are oversubscribed and need more money now, while Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy refused those demands in a joint statement, urging lawmakers to approve an increase for PPP funding before the program runs dry. The two said additional proposals from Democrats can wait until the next larger package. Getting relief for small business is proving to be a lot tougher than what is originally was intended under the CARES Act.
Well, I think you're right. But I think at the end of the day, the PPP program, which of course is Paycheck Protection, this is the loan program for small businesses that they can convert to grants once they affirm and verify that 2 months down the road they've used that money for the employees, so it puts money in their pockets. But there's some good news that came out late last night, and I'm looking at a headline now in The Hill. Aides expect Schumer and Mnuchin to reach deal on coronavirus relief. In other words, this $350 billion program that was part of the CARES Act is going to run out of money this week. It's been extremely popular. Small businesses understand this is the lifeline that they need for their employees. It's so important to get done. I talked to some of our local bankers yesterday, and they're just, most of the glitches are now gone, and it is so important, particularly in here in Michigan, to get done. But we're going to run out of money, and we're going to run out of money this week. So it's got to be refilled because it's a first-come, first-served program. And I think as we get closer to the end, when we know the money is going to be gone, and yesterday more than $200 billion has been approved already, and just in a week's time, it's going to put a lot of pressure on getting a deal done. They announced yesterday that we're not formally going to be going back to Washington until May 4th. So we can't let this thing hang out there for a couple of weeks and all those different employees, tens, hundreds of thousands of folks are being impacted. So I think cooler heads will prevail. I think it'll be a little bit broader package than just money for small businesses. I'm looking at some headlines today, and I know that the Beaumont Hospital group over in southeast Michigan, I think they lost a couple $100 million this last quarter. We need to make sure that our hospitals and our health providers have adequate funds to prevent layoffs, particularly in times like these. So there's a deal to be made, and I think we'll see it come together before the end of the week.
And,
at least I hope so.
Yeah. As you mentioned, you and Debbie Dingell sent a letter to congressional leadership about additional funding for hospitals, and also working with Representative Slotkin out of Holly to try to urge the Federal Food and Drug Administration to approve a proposal from Michigan State that would decontaminate single-use PPE that would help protect the frontline workers.
Well, absolutely, and we're actually hoping to hear from the FDA today on the approval for Michigan State. Michigan Tech's got a project that's being under consideration as well. I think Michigan may have one too, University of Michigan, but we're hoping to hear today or tomorrow from the FDA. And of course, what this would do is rather than have single-use masks and everything else for PPE, personal protection equipment, we're going to be able to use it multiple times, knowing that, in fact, it's clean and sanitary and has that FDA approval. So we're getting ready for the approval of that. And, again, it was just the delegation working together, trying to get things done. As it relates to the hospital, just about everybody in Michigan, 15 of the 16 of us, I'll let you guess who, signed a letter to our leadership on behalf of our hospitals. We can't let them go under. We can't let them lay off thousands of folks, which would otherwise probably happen without some type of assistance for the hospitals. So we're hoping to see that be included in the Phase 4 bill. That bill will start moving in early May when Congress comes back. But in the meantime, it's things like shoring up the PPP program, making sure that our hospitals have the right adequate resources, and probably a hand to our state and local governments. And this was a big week for them. April 15th, of course, is when most of us file our taxes. That's been delayed until July, both at the federal level and here in Michigan, too. So that's revenue that's not coming in. So that's when you then account for sales tax losses and gas tax losses and all those different things, you can see that there's going to be a real strain on our local governments as it relates to getting back on our feet again. So you'll see some things that hopefully will be on a very strong bipartisan basis that takes care of these issues that we've got to face.
Fred Upton joins us Tuesday mornings to talk about some of the issues going on in Washington. He is in the district, as all the Congress members are right now during this COVID-19 situation. We appreciate, Fred, you joining us this morning to talk about some of the issues involving COVID-19 and some of the efforts to try to get relief for people who are stricken and those who are being affected by stay home, stay safe. Fred, I wish you and your family well over the next 7 days, and if all goes well, we'll do this again next Tuesday morning.
I look forward to it. Thanks.
Thank you very much. That is Fred Upton, the Congressman from St. Joseph, on Real News Now, 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.